Here. This is a resource slide. This is a resource analysis. And one of the things that Ruby Payne goes through is understanding that when you are dealing with children at poverty, and when you think about poverty, I don't want you to only think about money. Just think about a lack. One of the signs of poverty is not being able to connect cause and effect. And so you can be so wealthy that you have that. You can also be so poor that you have that. This behind me here is a resource list. And in this resource list, when you work with kids, specifically in our demographic, now I'm going back to poverty, right? In our demographic, her training talks about when you get a child, find out what their resources are so that you can figure out how to help them. And in this list, there is one resource that is head and shoulders more important than all of the rest of them. Do you want to guess what it is here? Can y'all see that? You want me to read that for you? So you have financial, emotional, mental, spiritual, physical, support systems, relationships, and knowledge of hidden rules. Relationships. In her research, she did this research for 30 years. And in her research, she found out or discovered that relationships was the #1 resource that a child needed to be able to escape a mindset of poverty. And without those relationships, failure was pretty much guaranteed. I want to stick to this idea of relationships. And again, her training is largely more vast than what we're talking about in the 20 minutes that we have. But in the talk about relationships, I want to talk to you about deposits and withdrawals. You have to deposit relational activity in that child to build trust in that young person. Because if you're going to ask this young person, think about what you just did. Can you change that behavior? Before you ask of them something, you have to deposit in them some things. And her research bears out that some of the best things you can deposit them is seeking first to understand them. Now, they may be wrong, but just understand them. Understand why they said that to a teacher or why they did that to a child. It doesn't say agree, but just seek to understand it from their viewpoint. And in that sense, you are depositing in them trust. You're depositing them, I can talk to her, I can talk to him. Keeping your promises. If you tell a child something, adults need that. Kindness and courtesies. Clarifying expectations. This goes back to relationship of helping them learn cause and effect. When you get into a child's life, one of the best things you can do for them is tell them what you expect from them. What you expect from them. I know you're smarter than how you're behaving. I know that your grade doesn't have to be this low. You can do better than this. Clarify that and constantly reinforce those expectations. Loyalty to the absent. Yeah, come on.
Y'all know this. You just got to think about it in your own personal relationships. If you're talking to someone and you're talking about another person behind their back, that person can assume that when you leave that conversation with them, you're going to talk about them behind their back. And so the way that you get trust from anybody is that you never do that. And so they'll know if gossip comes to you, that's the dead end for the gossip. And when they see that, then they know they can trust you.
This is big. Because what my wife and I learned was when this happens, you'll start to get young girls tell you, my mom sells me. I mean, I'm just telling you what we've gotten. When they know that you're not going to gossip about their situation, these young boys and young girls, they'll open to you. And that relationship is only there because you've deposited it into them. And they know that you're not going to, that kind of thing that they grow up in. And so it's important that we carry that there. Apologies. So, how many of us haven't offended someone we've mentored? It happens. And so being the one that says, look, man, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to offend you that way. You know what, I'll do better, or I didn't know. However that sounds, but apologize to them and make it right. How many times have we apologized to our kids?
As often as we needed to.
Yeah. There's no perfect parent and there's no perfect mentor. But they need to know that you are able and ready to mend a relationship. And then the last one is open to feedback. Some of these kids you may find have very, very smart ideas on how to help other kids.